All right, so you wanted the lowdown on pulmonary hypertension, and let me tell you, we are diving deep today.
Definitely deep. It's not a condition to take lightly, that's for sure.
No kidding. And to get into it, we're looking at this article from the MT Spot, which I gotta say, seems pretty legit,
Oh, yeah. Written by a cardiologist, medically reviewed. It's the real deal.
which is what we like. So they get into this whole WHO classification system for pulmonary hypertension, or PH for short.
Right, right. Because you can't just be out there saying pulmonary hypertension willy-nilly. Got to be specific.
Exactly. So, like, imagine my doctor saying that to me, you've got PH.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind?
Haha, exactly. That's where these groups come in. There are 5 of them, and they basically tell you what's causing the problem.
Okay, so break it down for me,
All right.
starting with group 1, is it?
You got it. Group 1 is the big one. Pulmonary arterial hypertension, PAH for your notes.
Catchy.
Right. So this one's all about the arteries in your lungs. Those are the blood vessels specifically carrying blood away from the heart.
Right, right.
And in PAH, they get all narrow and stiff, so blood's trying to squeeze through, your heart's working overtime.
Like trying to fit an elephant through a straw, I imagine.
Basically. And that, my friend, is high blood pressure, but specifically in those lung arteries, hence the name.
Okay, so that's 1 down, 4 to go. What's next?
So group 2 is all about that left side of your heart. Think of it like if one pump in a water fountain goes haywire.
The whole thing's messed up.
Precisely. Things like heart failure, valve problems, they can all back up the system, put pressure on the lungs.
Makes sense. Got to keep that blood flowing smoothly.
Yeah.
So what about group 3? More heart stuff or?
This one's lung focused. Think COPD, interstitial lung disease, anything that messes with those delicate blood vessels.
Because damaged lungs equal, you guessed it, higher pressure.
Bingo! It's all connected like a very complex, slightly terrifying network of pipes.
Don't remind me. Okay, group 4, hit me with it.
Group 4 is the blood clot crew, officially chronic thromboembolic pulmonary hypertension, CTEPH if you're feeling fancy.
I'll stick with blood clots, thanks. But seriously, those are bad news.
The worst. Imagine them like roadblocks in your blood vessels, but specifically in the lungs this time. Restricting blood flow, upping the pressure, not a good time.
Okay, definitely avoiding those. So
Yeah.
that leaves group 5. Is that the catch-all category?
You know it. The we're not quite sure, or the it's a whole bunch of things group.
The miscellaneous of pH, I like it. So blood disorders, maybe some meds gone wrong, that kind of thing.
You got it. Now, I know we've all felt winded going up a flight of stairs, but what is it just being out of shape versus, this?
That's what I'm saying. The article mentioned shortness of breath, especially during activity, as a common symptom.
And it's a fair question. But with pH, it's not just, oh, I need to hit the gym kind of breathlessness. It's next level.
Like gasping for air after taking out the trash.
That's more like it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's not good. But are there any other, like, telltale signs?
Oh, for sure. Fatigue is a big one. Not just, I need a nap fatigue, but like bone-deep exhaustion, even at rest.
Yikes. Anything else?
Chest pain, dizziness, even fainting spells can happen. And keep an eye out for swelling, particularly in the legs and ankles.
Okay, so we're talking beyond I need more sleep territory here.
Right. And this is important. These symptoms aren't exclusive to pH. Lots of things can cause them.
So when in doubt, go to the doctor. Got it.
Exactly. Oh, and heart palpitations, that racing heart feeling. And if your skin's got a bluish tint, that's a sign your body's not getting enough oxygen.
Noted. Okay, so let's say the doctor's poking around. They're like, I think you might have this. How do they even figure that out? The article made it sound surprisingly simple.
Well, you'd be surprised how often it starts with just like a chat.
No fancy tests or anything.
Oh, yeah. They'll want to know about your symptoms, obviously, when they started, how bad they are, all that jazz.
Makes sense. Got to start somewhere.
Right. And then they'll ask about your medical history, any meds you're on, family history, especially heart and lung stuff.
So basically, come prepared to spill the tea on your whole life.
Pretty much. But assuming you pass the initial chit-chat round, they'll probably want to listen to your heart and lungs next.
The good old stethoscope. Classic.
Never goes out of style. Now, depending on what they hear, they might recommend some tests to get a better look under the hood, so to speak.
And by tests, we're talking.
Well, an echocardiogram is a common one. Basically, it's like an ultrasound, but for your heart.
So totally painless.
Yeah. They use sound waves to create images, see how your heart's structured, how well it's pumping, all that good stuff.
So can they tell if my heart's like actually broken from stress eating ice cream?
Maybe not broken, but they can definitely see if it's working too hard, especially that right side, which takes the biggest hit from pH.
Good to know. The article also mentioned chest x-rays, which I feel like everyone's gotten at some point, right?
Oh yeah, those are pretty standard. They're great for ruling out other lung problems that could be causing your symptoms.
So if my lungs do look suspiciously like that ice cream carton,
We might have a different conversation.
ah,
But seriously, they'll probably also do an EKG, which measures your heart's electrical activity.
okay, that one sounds a little more intense. Is it painful?
Not at all, promise. They just stick some electrodes on your chest and it helps them detect any funky rhythms that might be going on.
Funky rhythms, huh? Is that medical speak for a party in my chest, but not the good kind?
You could say that. Now, there is one more test they mention, right heart catheterization, but that's usually a last resort.
Last resort, how? Like we've exhausted all other options, or this is going to be weird? Kind of last resort.
A little bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
It's more invasive, so they only do it if they really need a solid diagnosis, or the other tests were inconclusive.
Okay, but what does it even do?
So they thread this thin tube through a vein, either in your neck or arm, and guide it all the way to your heart.
You're kidding.
Nope. And it allows them to measure the pressure inside your heart chambers and those pulmonary arteries directly.
Wow. Talk about getting up close and personal. So let's say they do all that, and the verdict is in. Pulmonary hypertension. What's next? Is there like a magic pill that just fixes everything?
I wish it were that easy. Unfortunately, there's no cure for PH yet anyway.
Oh no, seriously.
I know it's a bummer, but, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean there's no hope. We can't cure it, but we can definitely treat it.
Okay, so there are ways to manage it at least.
Yeah, absolutely. The goal is to improve your quality of life, make breathing easier, give you more energy, all the good stuff.
So you can still like live your life just with a little extra help.
Exactly. And luckily, there are some seriously effective treatments out there that can do just that.
Well, that's a relief. Okay, so spill the beans. What kind of treatments are we talking about?
Well, medications are a biggie. The article mentioned a bunch of different kinds, each with its own way of tackling the problem. Some help relax and widen those narrowed blood vessels in your lungs.
So less squeezing, more flowing.
You got it. That takes the pressure off your heart, makes it easier to pump blood. And then you've got meds that improve blood flow in general and prevent those pesky blood clots.
So it's like those commercials for unclogging arteries, but for your lungs.
Exactly. The key is finding the right combo of meds that works best for you, which is where a good doctor comes in handy.
Makes sense. One size doesn't fit all, especially with something this important. Now, the article also mentioned oxygen therapy.
Right, because if your blood oxygen levels are low, which can happen with pH, oxygen therapy can be a lifesaver.
Literally. So it's basically just making sure your body's getting enough of what it needs to function.
Exactly. And in some cases, if medications and oxygen therapy aren't cutting it, they might consider a lung transplant.
Wow. Okay, that's intense.
It's a big decision for sure, but for the right patient, it can be totally life-changing.
Wow. It really puts things into perspective. Okay, so we've talked about what pH is, what causes it, how it's diagnosed, even some treatments. But what about things people can do themselves? The article mentioned lifestyle changes, which I'm always a fan of.
Right. It's empowering to know you have some control over your health, even with a condition like this. And the good news is a lot of it is stuff we should all be doing anyway.
Like eating our veggies and actually using our gym memberships.
You know it. A healthy diet is key. Lots of fruits, veggies, whole grains, lean proteins, all that good stuff.
And probably laying off the ice cream, huh?
Maybe just a little. But seriously, limiting sodium is huge. Too much salt can make those fluid retention problems even worse.
Noted. What about exercise? I'm assuming that's still important, even with pH.
Absolutely. It's all about finding an activity you enjoy and that fits your current fitness level. Don't go running a marathon on day one,
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race. Or at least doesn't land me in the ER.
Exactly. Listen to your body, and if you start feeling short of breath or any pain, stop and rest.
So basically, be kind to yourself.
Always good advice. Oh, and we can't forget about stress management. Stress is the silent killer, my friend, and it can wreak havoc on even a healthy body.
Tell me about it. So meditation, deep breaths, all that good stuff still applies here.
Oh, yeah. Find what works for you and make it a non-negotiable part of your routine, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Love that. Now, the article also touched on natural treatments, which always makes me a little wary. Are we talking about like magic herbs and miracle cures?
Haha, I hear you. It's good to be skeptical because natural doesn't always equal safe or effective. However, there are some natural approaches that have shown promise in research.
Okay, so it's not all snake oil and wishful thinking.
Not at all. But it's crucial to remember these are meant to complement traditional medical treatments, not replace them.
So it's like adding extra support, not ditching the doctor altogether.
Exactly. Think of it like this. You wouldn't stop taking your blood pressure medication just because you started eating more kale.
Okay, that's fair. So what kind of natural approaches are we talking about here?
Well, a lot of it goes back to what we just discussed. Diet, exercise, stress reduction. Those are the foundation.
Right. Got to have that strong base.
Exactly. But there's also been some interesting research on specific nutrients and supplements that can support heart health.
Oh, like what? Give me the good stuff.
Well, garlic has always been touted for its heart-healthy properties.
Yeah, my grandma swears by it.
Smart lady. And there's actually some evidence to back it up. Some studies suggest it might help lower blood pressure and improve blood flow, which is obviously what we want with pH.
Okay, garlic, check.
Right.
What else?
Omega-3 fatty acids are another big one. You know those healthy fats you find in fatty fish, like salmon and tuna?
Oh yeah, brain food.
Exactly. But they're good for your heart, too. Studies suggest they might have a modest benefit for pH, although more research is always needed.
Worth a shot. I love me some salmon. Anything else?
Well, we can't forget about antioxidants, those powerful little compounds that fight cell damage. You'll find them in abundance in fruits, veggies, and even dark chocolate.
Hold up. Are you saying dark chocolate is good for my heart?
In moderation, yes, it's a win-win. But before you go stocking up on garlic and chocolate,
Don't get ahead of yourself.
exactly. It's crucial to talk to your doctor before adding any new supplements to your routine, even if they seem harmless.
Because they could interact with medications or something?
Exactly. Plus, everyone's different. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about working with your doctor to find the best approach for you.
Makes sense. Can't argue with that.
Eh.
Okay, so we've covered a lot positive ground here, but I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
The why is this even a big deal elephant?
Exactly. We've talked about managing symptoms, treatments, even lifestyle changes, but why is pulmonary hypertension actually considered dangerous in the first place?
That's a really important question, and one that deserves a straight answer, because the truth is the dangers of pH are very real. But the good news is, with the knowledge we have today, it doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Okay, that's reassuring. But let's break it down. What are the specific dangers if pH is left untreated?
Well, at its core, pH puts a ton of strain on your heart, especially the right side. Remember our traffic jam analogy from earlier?
Oh yeah, with the blood cells and the narrowed blood vessels.
Right. Now imagine your heart constantly working overtime, 24/7, to push blood through all that. Over time, that can lead to right heart failure, which is a serious condition where your heart basically can't pump blood effectively anymore.
Oh wow, that sounds not good.
It's definitely not ideal, and because your heart isn't pumping efficiently, it creates this domino effect throughout your whole body. Organs and tissues don't get the oxygen they need, which is what leads to those debilitating symptoms like shortness of breath, fatigue, dizziness.
So it's not just your heart and lungs that are affected, it's your whole system.
Exactly, and unfortunately, the longer pH goes untreated, the worse those effects become.
Yeah.
That's why early detection and treatment are so crucial. It can literally mean the difference between living a relatively normal life and,
Now, I had no idea it could be that serious. So early detection is key, got it. But aside from all that, are there any other dangers people should be aware of?
There is one more, actually. Because blood flow is so sluggish with pH, it creates a perfect environment for blood clots to form.
Oh no, not blood clots. I thought we were done with those.
Unfortunately not. And these clots love to hang out in the small arteries of your lungs, which, as you can imagine, only makes things worse.
Because they block blood flow even more.
Exactly. And that can lead to a whole other host of problems, including a life-threatening condition called a pulmonary embolism.
Okay, now I'm really starting to understand why this is such a big deal. It's not just about feeling short of breath after climbing a flight of stairs. It's so much more than that.
Right. It's about understanding the potential consequences and taking it seriously. But knowledge is power, and the more you know about pH, the better equipped you are to advocate for your health and make informed decisions. So, with that in mind, I think the big question on everyone's mind is pulmonary hypertension fatal?
That's the big one, isn't it? I mean, that's the question, right? It's heavy, but I appreciate you tackling it head on.
Of course, it's a question everyone has, but it's not a simple yes or no, unfortunately.
Yeah, I figured there were going to be some "it depends" in there.
There always are. So first off, the type of pH you have matters. Some are just more aggressive than others, plain and simple.
Makes sense. Like some are more like those slow traffic jam causing construction projects, and others are like, boom, multi-car pileup.
Exactly. And then there's the whole early detection thing, which, surprise, surprise, is super important.
Earlier is better. That's pretty much a universal truth in medicine, right?
Pretty much. The
Right.
sooner you catch it, the sooner you can start treatment, hopefully slow down any progression.
So it's like you don't want to wait till the whole highway's backed up before you call for help.
Right. And then, of course, everyone responds to treatment differently. What works wonders for one person might do nothing for another.
The old, your mileage may vary, disclaimer. But overall, it sounds like the message is hopeful.
Definitely hopeful. It's about knowing your own situation, working closely with your doctor, and being proactive.
Love that. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground today, from the different types and causes of pH to diagnosis, treatments, lifestyle changes, even the potential risks. My brain is full.
Haha, I hear you. It's a lot to process, for sure. But that's why we're here, right? To break it down, make it digestible.
Exactly. And honestly, whether you're just learning about pH for the first time or this deep dive hit close to home, just know you're not alone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. There are amazing doctors and researchers out there who dedicate their lives to understanding and treating this condition.
Not to mention the whole community of people navigating it every single day.
Absolutely. And that support can make all the difference. Sharing experiences, offering encouragement, it's invaluable.
100%. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this thought. Given everything we've learned, what new questions come to mind for you about your health?
What can you bring up with your doctor at your next appointment?
Don't let those questions wait. Take charge of your health, keep learning, and keep that conversation going. I mean, that's the question, right? It's heavy, but I appreciate you tackling it head on.
Of course, it's a question everyone has. But there isn't a simple yes or no, unfortunately.
Yeah, I figured there were going to be, it depends. There.
There always are. So first off, the type of pH you have plays a big role.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Some types are just naturally more aggressive than others.
Right, right.
And then there's the timing of diagnosis.
Of course, the earlier the better,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Earlier is almost always better because it means you can start treatment sooner and hopefully slow down any progression.
So it's like you don't want to wait till the whole highway's backed up before you call for help.
The perfect analogy. And then lastly, everyone responds to treatment differently.
Right, right.
What works wonders for one person might not be as effective for another.
The old, your mileage may vary disclaimer.
Exactly.
But overall, it sounds like the message is hopeful.
Absolutely. It's about understanding your individual situation, working closely with your medical team, and taking a proactive approach to your health.
I love that. Proactive knowledge is power, right?
100%.
The more you know about pH, the more you can advocate for yourself and make informed decisions about your care.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground today, from the different types and causes of pH to diagnosis, treatments, lifestyle changes, even the potential risks. My brain is full.
Ugh.
But honestly, whether you're just learning about pH for the first time or this deep dive hit close to home, just know you're not alone.
That's so important to remember. There are incredible resources out there, amazing doctors and researchers who dedicate their lives to understanding and treating pH.
Absolutely.
And there's a whole community of people out there navigating this condition every day, offering support and sharing their experiences.
Yes. And remember, what we've talked about today is just a starting point, right? It's about sparking your curiosity, giving you some solid information to go off of.
Right.
But that conversation with your doctor, that's key. They can give you personalized advice, address your specific concerns, and help you create a plan that feels right for you.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on pulmonary hypertension, I'm left with this thought. Given everything we've learned, what new questions come to mind for you about your health? What can you discuss with your doctor at your next appointment? Don't let those questions wait. Take charge of your health, keep learning, and keep that conversation going. Until next time, everyone.